guest, our friend Alex Berenson, joins us now, the man who was at the forefront of truth-telling during COVID when the world had gone mad. His books, Pandemia, for example, fantastic. He's got a Substack, Unreported Truths, which we highly recommend to you as well to subscribe to. But Alex, yesterday, Supreme Court, because of standing issues, did basically nothing with regard to the Biden administration's widespread censorship regime. But Berenson v. Biden is another case. You are Berenson. Tell us about how this may proceed and get a different outcome than what we saw with the censorship COVID case so far.
Sure. So I mean, I'm literally the last man standing in a way on this. So as you know, the Biden administration pushed very hard to suppress dissenting views around COVID and especially the vaccines in 2021. And they did some of this publicly. They had the Surgeon General come out and make a speech in July 2021. And they did this as the vaccines were sort of starting to lose their efficacy, and it became clear that, that they were going to be pushing for boosters and they were going to be pushing for mandates. So let's put aside the question of whether that was right or wrong. Let's just talk about the constitutional and the First Amendment issues that they raised with their pressure campaign. So this campaign was very broad, and it came out of the White House, it came out of the Surgeon General, it came out of the CDC. It was about specific tweets, it was about specific people. It was also broader. We want the companies to have broad policies. So the state of Missouri, the state of Louisiana, and several private plaintiffs a couple years ago sued the Biden administration and said, hey, you violated our rights. We were censored, and we were censored as a result of the pressure you put on social media companies to take actions against what you called misinformation. And what the Supreme Court said yesterday was, basically, you haven't shown to these plaintiffs, that you were censored specifically as the result of anything the administration did, and B, that you were really injured in a way that's going to matter going forward. Because they were actually asking for an injunction, these plaintiffs. None of these plaintiffs, I don't think, were ever actually completely deplatformed. One of them might have been partly deplatformed. But for the most part, they were saying, hey, our reach was censored. In other words, the Biden administration pushed the companies to make it harder for people to see us. Okay, so the court basically said, this isn't good enough. You haven't shown that you were injured, and we can't make law. We can only judge specific cases, and your injury is not specific enough for this case to be allowed to move forward. Okay, so I have a separate case. I didn't sue with those people. I sued the Biden administration for censorship against me specifically. And I also sued Pfizer because or not Pfizer itself, but two senior people at Pfizer, the chairman of Pfizer and a director of Pfizer, who were involved with the censorship that I faced. And I do have I have a very severe injury in that Twitter actually banned me at a time when my tweets were being viewed close to 10 million times a day. And secondly, I have proof that these people specifically targeted me, that I was named by a guy named Andy Slavitt when he was at the White House, and that I was named later as well. And so that gives me standing. It shows that there is an issue here involving censorship that the court isn't going to be able to get around by saying, you haven't shown you were injured. Now, look, maybe they'll say, obviously, I don't think they should say this, hey, you know what, this was a national emergency, and we don't think the First Amendment really reaches this conduct. Then maybe they'll say that, okay? But they're not going to be able to say, I have no standing.
Alex, what is the redress? What is the result that you think would be the best for the lawsuit that you have filed? If you were the judge and you had a magic wand and you basically got to write the opinion satisfying this case, deciding this case, what would you want it to say?
Well, So the other thing is that these other people weren't asking for damages. Okay, they were asking for an injunction. In other words, they didn't want the conduct to be continued going forward. I'm asking for money damages because I was injured by the conduct. I lost my largest audience, and I am a reporter. And I had a book that I was about to publish, which I couldn't promote to these millions and millions of people who are seeing me. So I want money damages. And so I want to get to a jury. I want a jury to decide my case. So I'm in that's another reason I'm actually in a better position, because among other things, if Joe Biden loses in 2020, this year, the other case will also sort of go away, or would have gone away, even if they had standing, because the relief they wanted wouldn't matter anymore because Joe Biden wouldn't be the president. So my case is different. I want not just relief going forward, but damages. And so I think like my case, essentially, even though it's narrower in some ways, because I'm not saying like this is all about, the whole government's conduct. This is about, to me, what makes my case stronger is that it is narrower. It's about a few specific people, although it's also about Pfizer. My case really has the potential to determine the outer limits of what the government can do. Because ultimately, if the government is allowed to do what it did to me and specifically target individuals, then the First Amendment really is dead.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying yesterday. I mean, we're getting pretty close to it. It's shocking how brazen the censorship was from the Biden regime on all the COVID stuff. And Alex has a Substack. You should all go check it out, Unreported Truth. Please subscribe to it. Alex, tonight there's a debate going on. I don't know if you heard. Some people will be watching it. They will come away with conclusions. Just want to let you weigh in as we are just hours away from game time. We were talking before, the fact that Biden is even going to be up there on the stage in some ways feels surreal.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't usually watch these things, but I'm going to watch this. This is going to be pretty good, I think. And so, I mean, it is true. The expectations for, Donald Trump are like every word he says is going to be incredibly closely parsed and, maybe taken out of context, as we know that happens. The expectations for Joe Biden are that basically he doesn't have a stroke on stage. Right?
Yeah.
So the expectations are different for the two guys, but it's still going to be very interesting.
Do you think Biden's going to be the guy? Like, I'm sure you're paying attention to the polls, everything else. Do you think they're going to stick with him?
Oh, I actually think this debate really matters for that. If he flames out in a notable way, I mean, if he has one of those moments where he freezes up for a minute and they can't spin it, they can't say that, there's a parachute is just out of frame or whatever it is, it's going to be very hard for them. If he has a few missteps, I think he probably gets by, and certainly, if he actually holds it together, as he sometimes has shown himself capable of doing when he has, sort of a week to rest in advance and can really focus, I think he will be the nominee. But I do think that if he winds up having one of those freeze outs, it's going to be hard for him to continue.
Who do you
Alex
think they
Berenson.
pick if that happened?
That's a really, that's a whole different question, right? I can't even begin to guess who it would be, right? I mean, I can begin to guess, but I guess I can't handicap it.
I mean, it's going to be Kamala. I don't see it. That's why you have a vice president. I keep telling everybody.
She has no hope if they move on.
This is right. This is exactly the argument, right?
Which is why they're going to keep him in place. Do you have a I say J.D. Vance, Clay, I don't know, Clay. What are you saying? Tim Scott? I don't know. Clay, we'll let you adjust that.
I don't know. I'm not as confident in Tim Scott as I used to be, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can pull the ripcord on my prediction.
Clay,
now.
There's room for you on Team J.D. Vance for VP over here. I'm just letting you know we kept a seat warm for you. Alex, what do you think? Trump VP?
I mean, isn't Rubio the bold choice? A Hispanic candidate. I mean, doesn't that really make it interesting?
He's in the top 3 right now, according to the New York Times, I think, reporting today that it's Burgum, J.D. Vance, and Rubio.
I think that, I mean, one thing that Trump has shown in the last few months that he really doesn't get any credit for is that he wants to win this time, right? I mean, he's being more careful about what he's saying. I know he still meanders sometimes in these long rallies, but he's reined himself in. And you got to believe that in some ways. I mean, that would say Rubio or Vance, right? Because Vance is a Midwestern guy. Rubio is Hispanic. I think Rubio makes it really interesting.
All right. Well, check out Alex Berenson, Substack, everybody, Unreported Truths. And Alex, please go win at the Supreme Court and stop the Biden regime from destroying the First Amendment. Can you handle that for us?
Listen, if I can't do it, then nobody can. I mean, I don't want to. I will do my best. I'll just say that. I'll do my best.
Well, you have your mission, sir. So there you go. Thanks very much, Alex. Good to talk to you. All right, guys, guess the percentage of people who would make this move, reducing your salary voluntarily as the head of a company to a new form of compensation where you only get paid $1 in cash. I mean, that sounds kind of crazy, right? But my friend Porter Stansberry, he's the founder and CEO of a very successful financial research company. He's done exactly that. His salary is $1 a year, and that is his choice because he sees a new form of money in America making some people very rich. You don't need to be a CEO to obtain this new kind of compensation. Thousands of Americans in a wide variety of full-time roles have already started to be compensated in this new form, from factory workers to office staff. Porter points out what's interesting is that while every American is legally entitled to use this not-so-well-known currency, few know much about it. Porter's hoping to change that. He wants to help you understand how America's new money works, because this can work for anyone. Check out Porter's latest detailed presentation online at secretcurrency2024.com. You won't see this opportunity discussed anywhere else. Secretcurrency2024.com. That's secretcurrency2024.com.